Welcome to Mavericks, where we talk to 25 CEOs from different types of industries. And we have a wonderful person today, Mr. Ashroff Omar from Brandix, who's with us this evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's wonderful to have you. One of the first questions I want to know about you is, what was the little child in you? Who was Ashroff Omar as a teenager? Who was he as a child?
I'm sure you don't want to know that. So, I was on my third last morning about to be sacked from Royal College.
Okay.
Right. So, that is up to grade 9,
All
grade
right.
8.
Okay.
And then I had a gang, and then after grade 8 they separate you between the commerce stream and the science stream.
Yes.
So I was sent to the commerce stream, right?
Okay.
And then a few days later, I was surprised because I was not a number 1, number 2 student, but somewhere there at the bottom, right, at the average.
Okay.
Right. So I thought anyway it's fine because it doesn't matter, and I was anyway interested in accounts and all that. A few days later, we got a message that there was some mistake, and for me to move back, that I could go to the science stream.
Okay.
And the best decision of my life was I said no, that I'll wait here.
Okay.
Because I had all my crowd there, and if I had gone there, I would have I wouldn't have lasted grade 9, maybe maximum grade 10, and I would have got fired.
Okay.
So here the life changed completely, because now there I used to be out of a class of about 35, 40, I would have been about 18, 20, 15 sometimes on this
Middle scale.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But here I was number 1.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because it was the weaker set that have come in, and it's not trying to brag about it, but one thing that made me understand was that if you are recognized, right, whoever you are, or whatever your capability is, that you tend to perform much better, you tend to perform above your weight class, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
So I went there, and then of course I got my prefectship, I got my rugby colours, which wouldn't have happened if not for this incident.
Okay.
So it's funny, but it had a great impact. So as a teenager, I wouldn't have lasted long if I had continued on the same path, and I didn't change the path. I think that was somebody's mistake or fate or whatever. The only thing I did was I didn't go back.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
So you're a ruggerite in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Many CEOs that I meet, they say 1 or 2 instances in their formidable years made a huge impact, or some of the stories they remember linger on through their entire professional career. Were there any one of those stories
I
that you
can have
narrate?
100, right? But I will tell you the most embarrassing one.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
So, when I, 2 stories in fact. So, I played, say, under 17, second 15, then first 15, got my colours, and the next year I was dropped. So the reason being, there was a tabloid at that time called the Evening Observer. You might be too young to remember that. So every evening we had a newspaper called the Evening Observer, and after the St. Joseph's match, there was a photograph of me jumping for the ball, but my eyes were closed, right? Maybe due to some camera timing or whatever. So couple of days later when we went for practice, this was the weekend, went on Monday, And my coach, Mr. Suma Navaratnam, who's now 92, I think, and is still good, we respect him a lot. So he called and shouted at me and said, "Come here. How the hell can you jump for the bloody ball with your eyes closed?" So I said, "Sir, I didn't close my eyes. Maybe I was blinking or whatever."
Yeah.
Dropped, right? And I was mad as hell. And I was quite a rough guy in school, so I wanted to smash his windscreen of his car and all sorts of threats I was making.
Okay.
But obviously I didn't do any such thing. And I was dropped for that year. So I didn't win my colors the next year.
Okay.
Right? So that was very, you see, it's embarrassment, right? So right now when I see some parents, if the kid is dropped from a play or from some match or some team, they write letters and get all hot under the collar. I said, the kid will, your character develops when you get those punches, right? So you have to go through the shame, the ignominy of that.
That's right.
But how do you face it?
Yeah.
And then the second one was, we played a match against Isipatan at that time at Havelock Park. It was a team called Royal A. So we had first 15, second 15, but we had a A team. Sometimes they used to play the A team, right?
Okay.
Not the first 15. First 15 is there. So all of us were there. We kicked the ball, scrummed down, and we scored. When we scored, suddenly the Isipatanians are shouting 16, 16, 16. So when we counted, there are 16 players on the Royal team. Right? We have scored the try also. So now the captain, so we didn't know how the hell that happened, because normally the team is published.
Yeah.
And then if you're on the team, you come
That's
to play,
right.
right? So then the captain went around. It was Dhammika Vedanta, the captain. And he said, "Vacha, will you go, will you go?" Everybody is giving him the 4-letter word. So ultimately I agreed to go out. And so imagine the hooting you will get at Havelock Park. We are royalists, Isipatanians, right? Workers are throwing stones. So we had to go through that whole phase. Ultimately we found out that there were 2 Alvisas on the team. So both Alvisas had come in. It was
Okay.
so that was a mistake, but it was fun. But at that time it was like, you feel like suicide, right? Because so a few years later, not too late, 2-3 years later, I went to the CRNFC in the evening. That was our haunt. And Suma Navaratnam is on the bar stool, and he looks at me and said, "Hey, come here, you boy. You do garments, right?" I said, "Yes, I am trying to do. I have some buyers from Denmark, and I will bring them to you." So I said, "Sure," and that was my first order.
Oh, wow.
So if I had smashed up his windscreen, that wouldn't have happened. No? Right? And the other funny part is that then I took over, that you might know, the Mayura group.
Yes.
And it was unionized. More than the unions, it was very rough situation there. So there was some problem, and I fired quite a few people, and they went on strike. So a couple of days later, we went there, and the general manager there also was another royalist. So when we went there, there is hooting now, hooting and catcalls and all that. So he's telling me, "Ashroff, I hope you can handle this." I said, "You bugger, I have handled the Isipatanians at Havelock Park. These
nothing.
guys don't know how to hoot, right? So forget about it." So that is in jest, but what I am trying to emphasize is that, you see, every punch that you get, it
Makes you stronger.
it brings some resilience, some type of building of a attribute or a character, or whatever you might say.
Wonderful. And through your professional life, before garments, What were you managing?
No, so you see, I left school and started an export company, nothing to do with my parents or my father. I told him, you give me a small office somewhere and I will get into export. So I used to write letters to, that time there was no fax, right? Telex we couldn't afford. So it was either telegram or airmail letters. So we used to write to all the companies. At least I go to the embassies, get the list of importers, and I am willing to export anything from equal brooms to clothing or whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
As a trading company. But I didn't get any orders till I got this order from my rugby coach.
Right.
So I placed that order with my father had a small factory which he never went to. It was bought, I think, for some tax reasons or something. It was doing domestic market, and there was a manager who was running it. So I went and offered that order to my father's factory, and this manager took it and messed it up totally. So he was fired, and my father told me, if you want to ship it, either you cancel the order or run the factory and ship it. So now that would have been, I would have been about 21 years old. So me and another batchmate of mine who worked with me for about 21 years after that, a guy called Palita Amarasinghe.
Yes.
Both of us went. You might have known
I know him.
Palita,
I know. Yeah.
right? So Palita and I took over, and the rest is history. So I started doing ICMA, which was ICWA at that time,
Okay.
Institute of Cost and Works Accounting.
Because, yeah.
So even the first part I didn't sit, so I forgot about education and then just deep dive down into this.
Okay. And so there was no inspiration or a role model that was getting you there, but it was circumstances.
Circumstances, and it was fun. Right? So the inspiration was to do export, because you could import a car if you could export. Right? So that was, there was a thing called the CRA.
Yeah.
So at that time cars were very few, right? I'm talking mid-70s, right? Everything was banned, right? So if you export, you can buy a car. So that was the main inspiration.
Right.
So, and which I did. I exported and then got a Mitsubishi at that time, I can remember.
I've been interviewing some fantastic CEOs, and when we go back 20, 30 years, I know we've been talking about X generation, Y generation, all these generations, and somehow that word resilience, many feel it's dying off, or it's a different kind of resilience that the younger generations have. What are they missing? Are they having it too easy?
I don't think so. You see, every generation, if you look back, when you were young, you will have the old boys in school coming and saying, during our days, these things happened.
That's right.
So their days were the best, right? When we were playing, there were some old boys who used to insist before the match to come and speak to us to share their experiences. Uninvited, right? Because we didn't know what the hell we were doing, they knew best, right?
Okay.
So in my view, we have to trust the young generation, right? You see, if I compare myself, my knowledge when I was 15 years old can be compared to a kid who's about 3-4 years old now, or 5 years, because of technology, right? We didn't have internet or anything. The only way you could get knowledge was Encyclopedia Britannica, which none of us could afford. In the class, there might be one kid whose parents could afford that, right? So, or you go to USIS, there was a library here, or British Council, and read the books. What else did you have?
Okay.
Right? No TV, no nothing. Now the kids have everything, but we don't agree with them because we feel that they are just wasting time. But I think that this generation will be the smartest generation so far. That's what I believe.
I believe so too. Each generation has their own challenges.
Yeah. Just think of the older guys during your young days. Now we are those guys. So best thing to keep the mouth shut and support them to do what they are doing.
You'll be surprised. My toddlers are 4 years old and then mischievous as hell.
Yeah.
But I just remembered when you said maybe 15 and 4 years, I feel that now at this age, they're very, very sharp at that age as well.
Yeah, we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We used to play some voodoo in this thing or marbles or something like that. No, what was our entertainment?
Absolutely.
So now we sit and pontificate these guys who know 25 times more than we do. So what I feel is we should leverage the potential of their knowledge, and when you are young, you are idealist. You are an idealist, you are passionate, you have energy.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we must leverage on.
Yep. Yep. I've had the pleasure of working with your daughter Anam as well. And I'm just thinking, how are you as a dad? What is your assessment as a
must
dad?
ask them. From my
They think the world of you.
In my eyes, I am the best guy. I must. I am not. Right. I have gone through a lot of. Fortunately, my wife is a counselor.
Yes.
And she has parenting and all that. So I think she has knocked some sense into me. Not. I don't think she has succeeded 100%.
Yeah.
But some quite a long way there.
Yeah.
So I put. Whatever I have done, I give the credit to her, because my thinking was, you see, it's always that you try to emulate the way you have been brought up, right?
Sure.
So for us it was school, you do something, caning, right? And the motto was yours, what? Spare the rod and spoil the child. So that was the era we came up in.
That's right. I've actually had the pleasure of working with your wife as well long years ago,
Okay.
Seema, at we were doing a project together, art therapy.
She still does that.
Oh, lovely person, one of the nicest people I've met. So, was there a strategy behind your kids working with the uncle and uncle's kids working with you?
Yeah, you see that we have a family, what we call that, a protocol. So, first of all, the kids don't have to work in the family company if they want to. So only a few out of the total are working in the family company, and that also you cannot report to your own parent.
Own parent, okay.
So you have to report to either a professional, but even that you can be reporting to a professional, but that whole cluster should be under a different brother. Okay. So that you try to avoid all these type of allegations, but
sure.
not allegations. It's basically feelings. No?
Yeah, so that's a lovely protocol, and she's doing very well there as well. Getting back to a little bit of Brandix, if you don't mind. I saw recently you had a sustainable summit, and you do a lot of work in the sustainability space. Would you like to speak to us a little bit about the sustainability endeavors that?
Yeah, you see, we because we are in textiles also, and later on we gave up ours and then went into joint ventures because of that whole way the industry went. I think everything closed down.
Yes.
And then the joint ventures, it was a new game. So even at the beginning, because of the pollution of water and all that, so there was a lot of consciousness that we have to do something different. And we had done a lot of small projects. For example, my brother Feroz, when I think we had the first from the discharge that comes out, effluent that comes out, they used to use the flue gas from the chimneys and then convert that all the salt that comes into to neutralize it with flue gas, because one is acidic, this is alkali.
Okay.
Right? So, lot of small things like that were being done in different stages. Then Marks and Spencer in 2007 came up with what we called, Sir Stuart Rose was the CEO, called Plan A. And he spelt it out in a structured way, starting from Algo's, that whole planet. Algo is the one who started all this. So what we did was, we at that time decided to go for the highest rating possible. So we said, okay, we will, the highest rating was platinum, and then we went for it. There was a good consultant, another school friend of mine, and we got it, and that was the first in the world. And after that, I think we kept on, we used to announce that in the next 3 years, this will be our carbon footprint. Now, we have announced that this year, for all apparel manufacturing in Sri Lanka will be carbon neutral on site. So that is not buying carbon credits from anywhere, but on site will be carbon neutral. I think we might get it. It is done, but the certifications take time. So hopefully we'll get it before the end of the year.
How wonderful is that? Yeah. See, because business will go on. It's how we do business sometimes makes a big difference. The pandemic couldn't have been easy.
No.
The world wars, the different types of wars we wage have been difficult. How have you kept the team together? How have you managed through these difficult times?
No, so I think let's take COVID. You see, COVID, we were the front end initially, right? It was all our PPTs that were distributed right now and pushing all the protocols. But as fate would have it, right, when everybody felt that COVID had not disappeared, but everybody, it looked, because the elections were held, everything was like hunky-dory, and the first patient was detected at our factory. And that was a learning, because we got a hammering. You see, up till then, only thing we were used to is being in the papers for opening a new factory or a green plant or this and that. Here, you are being called all sorts of names associated with terrorism and all that.
Right.
So it was tough. And I must still, I think, most of the team is with us. And we had to go through hell. But again, this adversity brings connectivity and resilience and almost anger to teach, I won't use the word, teach the guys a lesson, right? That we are not going to fold so easily. So COVID was tough. We had to, especially for us, so on top of, but one thing that was really satisfying and almost really saved us was the way all the well-wishers behaved. There were a million WhatsApps and insults and all that, but the buyers just stood rock solid. Bankers stood rock solid. All the stakeholders, workers stood rock solid. So I think that took us through. So again, a great learning. And now we are coming out of it and going right into a recession.
Supply chain issues, so many different types of
supply chain issues were there during COVID, but now it's primarily the markets have shrunk because of the supply chain issues they had earlier. So they have too much inventory, and the prices have come crashing down.
Right.
So it's a totally new game.
It is, and I work with logistics companies from certain global companies. It's looking difficult in many fronts.
It was 2,000. I'm saying ballpark because I don't know. $2,000 per container to the US. Went up to $11,000 or $12,000, and now it's at $1,800, $1,800.
Yes.
Right. So you see the fun, but so you enjoy the $11,000 also, right? So in our case, we will have to, I believe, what has happened up to the last year, to 2022, is now like before Christ, right? It's a very old period.
Sure.
Because whole world has changed. And if we don't change now, right, with digital, you have seen ChatGPT, right? Now, that type of power of data, if we don't change, will be history.
Sure.
So, we are going into a very aggressive venture looking inwards and making drastic changes.
Sure.
In the next 6 months, you will see us becoming much leaner, much more tech savvy. So, we are investing a lot on digital,
Yeah.
right? We are not investing much on brick and mortar. And to how from that square foot, how can you get double or triple the dollars that you were getting earlier?
The yield factor.
And maybe,
Yeah. If I may just throw in a couple of my thoughts.
Yeah.
I've always thought, because I visit Vietnam, Bangladesh, India, even some of our own plants, and I feel the direct to indirect ratio. We have a lot of managers, a lot of executives looking after the operation. And it was my feeling that that's where weight was. Is my thinking right?
100%. Because you see, at one stage, when we came, we were leading, we were the beacon for Bangladesh or any other country, right? Our industry. I think we became fat and lazy. We became cocky. We became very, very arrogant. Cocky was the same word, right?
Yeah.
So, recently one of my colleagues told me, Ashroff, our competition is not within the island. They are all the same. Our competition is with Bangladesh or Vietnam or Indonesia. So, we have to change the game, right? How can China, paying almost $1,000 for a machine operator, be cheaper than us today? They have been blocked because of various other
reasons,
factors, right? Politics and all that.
Yeah.
But one-to-one competition, you can't still match China because their productivity is high and there is no fat in the organization.
Yeah.
So, if we cannot continue the way we are doing now, that's over, right? So, I think this will be the year of being reborn and come up with a much slimmer, much more digital savvy organization. And that's why you need the younger people.
Sure. If I may cross that particular thought against, given the fact that we're going through a very important time period of fasting.
Yeah.
Values and ethics from your heart, when you have to make tough decisions, how difficult has it been?
Yeah, you see, there are two things. It's always obviously very difficult, but you must not confuse value and ethics, right, by with a tough decision you have to make, right? Because if you don't make that decision, you destroy many more careers.
Absolutely.
Right? And the decision you make should be humane, right? Because there is no safety net today. So, how you pay the compensation? Tomorrow, if there is a problem, will you hire some of the people back when you are taking back? Things like that.
Yeah.
So, you can't, you see, it's nothing to, you have to do what you have to do. You are a captain of a rugby team, and if you have a second row like me, you have to drop the guy. Right? Otherwise, you won't win the matches.
Sure.
Right? So, it's the same here, right?
Sure. Absolutely. So, innovation is a buzzword for many organizations. Innovation for a lot of companies is technology. And yet, technology absorption, appetite for innovation, aptitude for innovation, there's a whole lot. And the way I look at innovation is also the ingenuity of the individual, where Brandix spends a lot of good money in development. But still, a lot of companies are still working on technology. How do we inspire people to be innovative from within?
Superb question. What I tell everybody is you have to have two key attributes, right?
Okay.
Three preferably. One is you have to be hungry for knowledge,
Yes.
right? Right? So, what I say is humble, hungry and smart, which I read from a book recently, which I think it encapsulates everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, today, if you want to know anything, you can know within 4 hours, right? So now if somebody walks into your room and tells you, do you know how this thing is happening, right? I, of course, just go on to YouTube or something and check that in and give it to the person and say, figure it out. And they never come again with, you see, so today, we have to convince our guys, right, girls and guys, to become curious and hungry.
Yeah.
If those two things are there, I think that's all we have to do.
Absolutely.
Rest is available.
Absolutely.
What is stopping us today is just because either we don't care or we are not hungry to know. I don't know whether it resonates with what I say.
I think you're absolutely right. And I was recently talking to a group of parents because they wanted me to do some lectures for the teachers. I said, yes, we must talk to the teachers also. But remember, the kids are with us for a longer time period than with the teachers. And I said, do we give up very easily? Are we willing to fold? Are we willing to have that? What are they watching? Now, parenting in an organizational setting is sometimes the leadership. And how much of an appetite and a go and resilience and that.
No, we have a lot of work to do here.
Yeah.
So, for your profession, it's a sweet spot. Right? For us, it's a downturn at the moment. For you, I think because we have to change completely. It has a 180-degree turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But we can, because everything is there. As a country, as a talent, okay, we are losing a lot of people overseas, going overseas.
Yeah.
But there are a lot more.
And every time there'll be someone who'll be going out. This industry, I think 80s saw a particular part to play.
Yeah.
Mid 80s, late 80s. So
And it has morphed into it has answered to the demands, right?
Yes. And if you have a line going up in terms of the trend and everything that can go wrong, year 2000, I think we were going to lose all the orders, and they thought multi-fiber agreement.
1983.
Yeah, 83.
We thought we will never stand up after
Absolutely. You still remember driving and looking at Hydromani, I think, which was Ratmalan had burned to the ground. And
so many, and then
difficult
89
times.
was bad.
Yeah.
So I think this is like the Americans say, this is not our first rodeo,
No.
right? We will have to,
Right
but
the
we have
way.
to change the tactics.
We have to change the tactics. And that's very, very important. So when you're talking about changing tactics in a global sense, what's new?
See, right now, I'm talking about our industry,
Yes, of
clothing,
course,
right?
of course,
Retail.
yeah.
So, retail at the moment is going through the roughest patch ever that we have seen. But you see, the total consumption of clothing styles might change. Now, during COVID, the casual wear, underwear sold a lot. But dress shirts, ties, all of them almost went out of business because there was no demand. Nobody went to work, so you won't wear a tie at home, right?
Yes, that's right.
So now it has flipped. Underwear and casual wear is slow, but the dress shirts are in demand, ties are in demand, dress pants are in demand and all that. So my belief is the consumption won't shrink. It will grow. But we will have to be there, hang on, we should have the stamina to last for 8 months, 9 months, 14 months, right? So we have to, in the meantime, become better, faster, cheaper, right? Till we come out of it. But I think the demand has to grow.
Okay. I think in one of our conversations once you told me, when everybody is having a difficult time and the economy is bad, best time to buy.
Exactly. Best time to acquire.
Best time to acquire. So any new plans which is not secretive towards a corporate plan, that's happening
this
right
time
now.
we are looking at 1 or 2, but those acquisitions are small, not very big.
Okay.
Right, and we will be changing our portfolio also, because what we have experimented with one facility to go completely digital, automated,
Yes.
and the results are very good.
Right.
Now, whether what you do as in the incubator, whether you can roll it out or not, remains
Yes.
to be seen.
Yes.
So we are very excited to say invest mainly in talent, digital, and in the new way of doing things.
Right.
High productivity.
Right.
In fact, you have been complaining about that to me every time you train our guys and saying, hey, what the hell are you up to? So that's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
If we had listened to you 4 years ago, we would have been different, right? We would have prevented something. But right now, what you were also seeing it in a different way.
Different way.
Now the moment has arrived.
Yeah.
So now it's the time to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, of course. And I actually spent some time with the plant that you're talking about. And I
Yeah.
coach about 4 or 5 of the people
When
from
was it? Recently or?
Katnaika.
Yeah.
So in the MDP program.
Okay.
And so I keep abreast of all technologies,
Yeah.
everything that's
So
happened.
we'll go one day when I'm going there.
Would love to come.
Sometime in a
Love to
couple
come.
of weeks we'll go.
Yeah. Because I keep in touch with different industries, it's always interesting to see, and I like to
No,
bring it back.
because that's why you know exactly. You see, sometimes we are in the ivory tower, right? What we are seeing on PPTs and listening, hearing is not accurate.
That's
So
right.
sometimes when I sit with you,
Yep.
I get a grounding, right, to see what has happened.
Yeah, I visit quite a few places. Diverse workforces and cultures and inclusivity. These are all nice words, and I've seen Brandix actually embracing. And one thing I've felt as an outsider that walks into Brandix, there is no religious, ethnic, male, female, all that. We can celebrate all those things separately, but I've never seen that. How did you get that blend, if at all?
I also don't know. I think, no, but that's the way we have been thinking from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? I believe, say, everybody, religion is very personal.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't go and convince another who's following a certain
Sure.
religion
Sure.
that no, yours is better. Or,
Yeah.
So if you leave that out and leave it out of the workplace,
That's right.
right? Politics,
Yeah.
right? You leave it out of the workplace. So then I think, and also different people from different walks of life
Yeah.
are employed. Not we didn't do it by design,
Okay.
but now we have to do it because sometimes we feel. Now, for example, our factory in Batticaloa, when you look at the top management, I feel it should be majority should be from there,
Okay.
right? So that there is like what it is here.
Okay.
But so those type of things you have to work on.
Work on,
right?
yeah,
But other than that, I think if basically if from the leadership, if you don't push one religion or one cult or anything like that, I think then it's
Yeah.
normal people are very good generally, right? Only when things get complicated that the problems arise.
No bad children, only bad parents.
Yeah.
I also meant in the form of not only religion. For example, you've had wonderful female CEOs, board members. the diversity, just opportunity.
Yeah, but we are not still very happy with what we have done. I think we have a lot more to do.
Okay.
You see, to bring more women into the workforce, at worker level we have, and the moment it goes up, it becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. You have to change the way, you see, because they have two jobs, unlike most males, right? The job of looking after the home and then the professional job. So, the flexibility in leave, flexibility in, you see, if you are not willing to make those changes, so there are a lot of theories. Some say that we don't care, it has to be the same for males and females, right? But the job is not the same because you have an additional job.
Yes.
As males, we are lazy, right? So very few males do that. There are quite a few who do. So I must recognize them, but a lot don't, right? So that's why the woman's job becomes difficult. So I think even at Brandix we have a long way to go, though we are trying, but we have a long way to go.
Okay. Something that you once told me is, I don't want heroes in my business. I want the systems to run well. So you can see I've been listening to you well. So I write a bit of questions, but when I sit with you, I remember all the good things you said, which makes it very meaningful to have you. And I love that. I don't need heroes. Here I see one very strong leader looking after an entire business who's telling me it's not heroes but systems. Would you like to elaborate on that?
You see, the thing is that when you start from scratch as an entrepreneur, right, you have to, so I'll just give you my journey, then you can decide from that. Because myself, Palita, we were running it, whether from finance to HR to production to sales, everything is us, right?
Yes.
So you keep on growing. Then we went for the first joint venture in 1986. Now what I found was you get all these American finance guys and demanding what the budget for next year is, and so many things which we are not even considered, right? So then you realize at that point that your entrepreneurship, you have to keep it at a certain level. For professionalism, you need professionals. And the main thing is, you might not like them. You see, you would love to work with your people. Say, if I am an extrovert, I would like the company of other extroverts. An introvert will drive me nuts, right? But you have to know that if you want to jump from where you are, you have brought it to a point, and that the other people will have to run it.
Sure.
And those are not people that who would think the way you're thinking, and they might even criticize your thinking, and you have to be humble enough to take that. If you can jump that, so that's why moment the joint ventures came, I knew that we were not capable of answering all these fancy finance guys and all that. So we also started hiring people with equal, say, who can sit across the table and talk to them, and otherwise it becomes an issue. So that helped us a lot, because suddenly you're a partner, you're a huge company, I'm a small company. You come, you don't have to come, you send two guys who are checking finance, the other guys are seeing what is the ROI and all that, and here I don't have the wherewithal, I won't have the patience, nor the inclination, nor even the capability of doing it, right? So then what do I do? Either the joint venture gets stuck at that level, or I'll say, let's take a step back, and we also have our guys, right? We put our guys also on the table, and then, but you have to respect their decision.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's why what I say is, you will be a hero in a smaller setup, but if you create many heroes, and we did it during our
Of course.
growth. Sometimes, okay, you look at yourself, right? In your organization, you're the hero,
Yes.
right? Because you have a personality, you have that passion. Wherever you go, whether you, even if you are a union leader, you will be like that, right? If you were running a massive 5-star hotel, you will be like that. And if you were running the Gunasiri hotel, which is in Kolpiti, you will still be like that, right?
Yes.
Because that's in you.
Yeah.
Now, if heroes like that control, then there will be different cultures.
That's right.
So as you become bigger, you can't avoid the hero because people who bubble up will bubble up, right? They are the guys who make things work.
Yeah.
But you can't rely only on their capability
Sure.
and not have processes that control the
Yes.
organization. Because heroes are also very moody.
Yes.
Sometimes they get up and walk away. Then what happens? Are you
Yes.
going to crash?
And this industry has had big heroes.
Yeah.
And in the absence, industry has still continued.
And kept on growing,
Yeah.
right?
Big
So-
names.
Yeah.
So-
So you see, that itself is a study. It shows it doesn't matter. And not only here, you look at the US industry, retail, big names. Right? Today you don't hear anything. Now the big names are with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all that. But even once they pass, things will continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And some other heroes will be there some
That's
other
right.
way.
Just like Jack Ma, it took only 48 hours.
Exactly. But Jack Welch at
Jack
General
Welch.
Electric,
Yeah,
right? He was like the do-all and be-all of management.
Sure.
Right? So I think they did their. All of us will have a little
Part
say
to
in the part to play, but I think the organizations will move on.
Probably to end up, few of your life learnings for up and coming CEOs, MDs, and at that level, C-suite people.
Yeah, my 3 things, what I told you earlier,
Yes.
humble, hungry and smart. And smart does not mean you're smart in math or anything like that. If you're not smart that way, you won't come up there, right? But smart enough to work with your peers, right? So it's very easy to manage downwards and upwards. Manage this way is tough, right? So I think if you're, and I'm when I read that book, that was in my mind, but when I read the book, this humble, hungry, smart really, it was bullseye, right?
Yeah.
And that is absolutely right. So the younger guys coming up, so if you're hungry, then you will learn because you now have much more than what the other generations had to learn. The tools are there.
Yeah.
So that is, it's all depends on you, right? Humble, of course, it connects to the next one. In order to, say, work with your people, if there is a sense of, say, if you're humble, you can listen to much more, right, and get to know much more. Your network will be much bigger.
Okay.
And it will be easy to sell. After all, that if you're the CEO, you have to make the sales, right?
Sure.
So that will be this thing. And take, because even younger people today, I have seen that, no, we don't like this new tech, right? It's suicide, in my view. So tech is what will take us to the next level.
Wow. So you've been leading, I think, 46 positions in different director boards, if I can remember right. Is it less or higher
It's
now?
a lot of internal companies.
Internal companies.
But now it is much lower. So I stepped down from most of the outside boards.
Okay.
Now I am only in the internal board.
Okay. So what's in it in your bucket list for your future as the days and months ahead?
I must do this as long as I am having fun,
Absolutely.
right? Like, you see, another thing for the new up and coming CEOs, right? So, envy versus competition, right? So now, you're doing better than me. So I will compete with you. But if I take it as a game, right? Okay, you play a match, you lose. You're not going to. But if I envy, then it is stress. Then I feel, say, internally not complete, right? I feel depressed, right? But if it's a game, then I will be upset that I lost, but then I don't care, right? So those type of things keeps me going, right? So if you don't have the stress of losing a match, and if you lose, you say, okay, this round we lost, we'll come back in the next round.
Yeah.
So that keeps it exciting.
Right.
But obviously, I also have handed over a lot,
Yeah.
and play different. I will have to keep on playing with something, right? So let's see what the next journey is. Maybe you and I can do something together.
Of course we can. That would be lovely. I was talking to the CEO and he was talking about, and I just asked him, incidentally, what is your thoughts on retirement? And he said, well, people who wait for their retirement, they think that after that date, they want to do things that they couldn't do now. I'm doing it right now, so there is no retirement. And we had a good chuckle, so as long as you're enjoying.
Yeah, anything. You see, now my brother, Feroz,
Yes.
retired sharp at 55.
Right.
He said, we thought he was joking.
Right.
As soon as he hit 55, done. Now, he, with his friends, did a motorcycle ride from Berlin to Batarabul.
Wow.
So they came right through Iran, India, all that. Then they went from Estonia to Laos. So right across Russia, right down China and back. And as we speak, he is on a ride from Colombia to Chile. That is right through the Southern American continent.
Yeah.
So, and he's having a ball. So that's his retirement. Can I do that? I don't think so. So I think it's all for oneself. How can I judge whether you should retire or not retire, right?
That's right.
You do what you want, I do what I want. Right? So that's but my thinking is that to slow down, at least get out from the day to day, but have fun in doing various stuff.
Absolutely. And may we wish you to have the good health and the ability to have fun as much as possible.
Thank you, thank you. That's what we have to live for.